What's something that an Eastern, I guess, business practice or Eastern tradition that the Western hasn't that could benefit, or vice versa? Because you are this ambassador to both. It seems like that you work a lot with some high end clients in the U.S. and other Western countries, but then also in Indonesia. I think you some guy that really blew up. And is there anything that comes to mind um, that you think is an interesting comparison or contrast?
I'll tell you the biggest contrast I found. I'm not sure if I could turn this into something really useful, but I'll, when it comes to Japanese and American businesses, and I work with Singaporean businesses too, the there's a really really different way of thinking, and what it is that in the U.S. generally the end will justify the means. That means that if I told you, like if I told my sales team in the US, hey guys, the goal today or this month, this quarter is to get X amount of sales. Like let's say we want to get 52 new sales, right? So they're going to get fixated on that goal, and I could give them a process and they might follow, they might not. But hitting that goal is what's going to be most important. They might break a few
Mm,
rules, maybe a few laws, maybe a few hearts, but their goal is going to be to get that outcome, right?
mm,
And that's generally the mentality I found with US or Western businesses. In Japan, the it's really the opposite. It's if I say, hey, let's get 52 sales, they'll be like, okay, great. What's the plan? How are we gonna get there? I'm like, okay, let's work on a plan. So what's stage one, stage two, stage three, and then what are the contingencies? What are the dangers? What's the SWOT analysis, right? And we'll build all that out, which is great. But once it's built out, the fixation is not on the goal; it's on the process. And if they don't reach
mm,
the goal, they're going to say, "But we followed your process." And so we
mm,
didn't do anything wrong. And it's this, and here's the thing that really frustrates me sometimes when working with Japanese, but at the same time I also realize it's what creates a lot of safety. It's what
mm,
creates stability, not necessarily rapid growth. In the US, the danger is sometimes you reach the goal, but you might find out later on down the line that something happened that could end you up, paying a huge fine or getting sued by someone, or like there's just so
mm,
many things that just kind of get, swept under the rug in the pursuit of momentum, in the pursuit of hitting that goal.
mm.
So personally, I find myself more of the, goal fixated, a little bit more like American style thinking when it comes to business. But I see the value in both. And when you understand when you're working with a Japanese or some other, maybe in the US, there's these kind of people too, people who know that the system is, or feel that the system is more important than the outcome, then
Mm.
then you might understand. Or if you find them behaving a certain way, you might be like, oh, these guys are systems people, or these guys are outcome based people. In Japan, the majority that I've worked with is systems based operations, not outcome based. So I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but it really helped me understand once I made that distinction of why they behave so differently. That's a lot of it right there.
That's interesting. Do Japanese employees stick around for longer than the American employee then? Because I guess it seems like there would maybe be more of a loyalty once they're in the system and they're systems
That
oriented
is
versus
something
somebody.
that was true for a long time, and there's still the big companies, the big Japanese corporations, the trains, the automobile industry, electronics,
Sure. Yep.
and they're very much doing things the old way, where pretty much once you're an official employee, you're like family, right? If somebody in your family
Mm,
dies, then they will, give you the time off and give you, they'll pay for the funeral, they'll buy your house for you, they'll fund your
mm,
wedding, your vacations, like everything, but they also expect absolute loyalty back. And that in the 80s was the majority of Japanese businesses. But what happened was it was really hard for new businesses to grow, because if you think about it, a new business can't offer all those perks, right? You just simply don't have it. So it was really stifling innovation. And
mm,
Japan realized that when, since the 90s, the economy just has flatlined and has gone down quite a bit. So people are realizing, hey, we can't just count on these giants to carry the economy. We need to, really stimulate new business. So they started changing the law so that you don't have to give as many benefits, and it's not as expected. And a lot of people are looking for that. So it's starting to be less than it used to be, but probably still more than the US, the whole company loyalty thing that used to be around.